and cheap wine. We gather around the mic, just killing time. Tales of glory days, now long behind. A podcast of dads who lost their minds. We reminisce on the good old days when we had hair and our bodies didn't ache. Now we're just middle-aged guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, gather round because today we mourn some fallen legends. Shows that burned bright, but for some odd reason, usually some network executive who is spending the budget on nose candy instead of the actual show, were yanked off the air before their time. That's right. Today we're diving into the TV graveyard to resurrect some of the best shows that were canceled way too soon. Cult classics, fan favorites, and the ones that left us screaming, wait, that was the finale? Whether it was a show ahead of its time, a marketing disaster, which is a very common theme with these shows that failed, or just a tragic case of, whoops, we put this in a Friday night death slot, we're going to talk about the ones that popped into our heads when this topic was suggested. Grab your remote, or, well, don't. It won't actually help this time. Just sit back, relax, and prepare to go on a trip through these shows that could have been the greatest of TV and what could have been. I wanted to start off similar to one of our previous episodes where we kind of called out a couple of ones that we weren't going to do because they were just so common.
And you didn't give us a list, so one of the ones is one I did.
Yeah, it's okay. No, I made the list after I already put two of them on my own list.
I understand.
I did this to myself. So some of the ones that constantly come up in the top shows of all time that should not have been canceled. Firefly is always one of those. Like, I absolutely got into Firefly. I attended fan meetups. I filled out petitions. I neckbearded my way across the internet, annoyed at every new thing the cast did, except for Adam Baldwin, because he's a racist, sexist piece of shit. And I will say it now, recorded. I will happily fight him in real life, even if I would certainly lose.
He's like 6'3" or something, isn't he?
Just if I can get one good shot in, I don't care if that follow-up is me just getting my ass beat mercilessly. I just want to punch that guy so badly. Like, I would be happy.
So out of all the people on this planet that have that same kind of personality, that's the hill you're going to die on. It's just Alec Baldwin.
No, not Alec Baldwin.
Oh,
Adam Baldwin.
Oh, Adam Baldwin.
And he's not one of the Baldwins. He's just named Adam Baldwin.
Well, in that case, I hope he's dead.
But no, there's definitely a bigger list, but that would take this podcast in a completely different direction and would probably alienate a good chunk of what little fan base we have.
Dude, I mean, I apparently went to war with Brian Bosworth, so.
Yep. You started to fight with the boss.
Yeah, it's all right. I got your back, and Greg does too.
Thank God.
I'm telling you, the old table, whatever it's called,
the old man that
topping?
dies in every single movie and show. Awesome. We cannot lose.
Did you guys watch Firefly?
Yes. I wasn't as into it, surprisingly, as everybody else was. No other reason than I don't remember when it was on. But it was one of those shows where whatever was up against, like I either had something else to do that day or whatnot, but I was one of the ones who was kind of one of the brown coats. Like, I really did enjoy it. It was fun. I just it was one of those shows where I really thought it was going to be around. You know what I mean? Looked great, funny. One of the knocks on it was if everybody's Han Solo, then nobody's Han Solo. But I like, but I like that about the show because, what was it? Whedon, right? Who wrote it?
Yeah, it was Whedon.
So Whedon
Before
had
all
a
the
very
touchy-feely stuff.
Well, he was also very good at a certain style of writing that at that time for sure appealed to me. Very quippy, very fast dialogue. Everything was, like you're saying, touchy-feely, but then he had a way of writing characters that felt, they didn't feel as cookie-cutter at the time.
No, I meant the touchy-feely stuff as in the sexual harassment.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yes. Well, I mean, to be fair, I mean, he did give us the first Avengers movie, and it was excellent.
That's true.
Excellent.
He did do a lot of good stuff before, but we're in the pop culture period of skeletons in the closet.
Yeah, that's another episode.
I mean, I gotta be honest. That show was not even on my radar when it was out.
Did you see the movie?
Oh, okay.
Yes, I saw the movie.
Okay. What'd you think of the movie?
The movie. It was a movie.
Yeah, a bunch of
it was
people
one of
died
the
in
movies
it,
of all time.
Yeah,
It It was a movie that existed.
Yes. You know what's sad? And the people all like they had all these like heartbeat moments and stuff where people like main characters die, like all these fan favorites, and like I'm sure you felt nothing. You know what show did that for me?
I didn't. Yeah.
Was The Sopranos. When The Sopranos first came out, I saw the first season, and then I dated somebody who was super into it, and I only watched the last season. So like all of these moments happen, and there's like gas because we were watching with her roommates, like gasps, and everybody's gasping, and there's like tears and shit throughout the whole season. And I'm sitting there staring at the screen, going, I don't know who the fuck any of these people are other than Tony Soprano. I hope he lives. You know, like I hope he makes it to the end. You know, I think all this shit's going
He
down, and I'm
lives.
like, I should be feeling something right now, and I don't.
I love that.
No, so I mean, I have to be honest. Like, I was doing research for this because I'm trying to search the internet for
Top shows
the
or whatever.
shows maybe I couldn't remember. That's what I was looking for.
Sure.
So I'm looking for shows that are canceled too soon, yada yada, and every single fucking search was Firefly and Freaks and Geeks.
Yeah.
Yep.
Freaks
And I'm
and
like,
Geeks.
neither of those shows were ever on my radar at the time. And I'm not saying they're bad shows
No,
or
but
whatever.
me and Nickel grew up together. Nickel was too busy fucking. Anything that was on, anything that was on, no, for real, like anything that was on during the evening time, there's no way he'd watch it. There's no way.
You guys, that's why doggy style was invented. You aim yourselves at the TV, and
I watched a lot of TV.
I didn't, but that's only because I was constantly grounded.
Oh, very good.
Like during dinner time when we would be eating and watching a show together, my parents would make me sit with my back to the TV. And then they'd be enjoying the show, watching it and laughing. And I'm like, this is fucking horrible.
Just all this doggy at the dinner table.
Wasn't enough to make me behave, but that's fine. Well, I think along with Freaks and Geeks, there's a lot of them that are on lists. There's Deadwood, which is like, I love Deadwood. I love Deadwood so much. But apparently, like all of the stuff around Deadwood, it's weird. Like nobody's really sure what happened to cause the cancellation. There's like stories of somebody being on the phone with the executive producer, and he was like, "Oh, you only want to do 6 episodes? Well, how about no episodes?" And then he hangs up. And then there's other ones where they're just saying ratings with like there's so many different stories, and I was like, okay,
Wait, but hold on. I thought we were talking like 1 or 2 seasons.
That only went 1 or 2 seasons, and then it got a
it was
movie.
3 seasons. But
Well, yeah.
I'm just saying
Deadwood?
this is on
Yeah.
Deadwood
Okay.
is on Deadwood's on the list of ones that's like on every list.
I
though.
forgot about the 3rd season. You're
But
right.
I wanted to
Okay.
special mention them just because I will always love the fact that in the entire series they had an average usage of the word fuck 1.56 times per minute of footage, which works out to just shy of 3,000 fucks for the entire series.
You're saying it gave too many fucks.
And no, somehow that was the perfect amount of fucks for them.
Very nice.
It worked. They worked that way in ways that I could not imagine. Like those are kind of the 4 I had on that list. So Firefly, Freaks and Geeks, Deadwood, and Jericho's another big one.
Jericho was
But like,
good.
I think people also will just be like, "Oh, a show I liked ended. It was canceled too soon." Like, no. Like sometimes shows just end. It's
Yeah.
people want to go do other shit.
Sometimes shows go on for a little too long. You know what I mean? The Simpsons is always name drop, but that could have ended 20 years ago, and I would have been fine.
Yeah. There's that show, Once Upon a Time, that I think its 7th season, they moved it from Sunday primetime. So the first 6 seasons were Sunday primetime. The 7th was Friday nights at 9:00.
Wow. Yeah.
The death slot. And it was one of the lowest watched seasons of any final season of any shows of all time. It had like a 0.9 rating.
Well, we'll get into it, but obviously, like you were alluding to, some of these studios will do that on purpose. You know what I mean? They'll definitely be like, hey, look, either it's costing too much money or we've got something else you want to put in there. Let's just purposely kill this show, even if it has a decent following. It's just easy way to do it.
Futurama.
Futurama.
But that doesn't fall on our list here.
No.
but
No.
that's a reference to what you're talking about there, underscore. They tried to kill that show so bad.
So many times.
Put it on
and they
at like
succeeded
7
with the most
o'clock on a
recent season.
Tuesday.
Right, yeah.
7 o'clock on a Tuesday, they tried to put it. Something crazy like that, right?
Yeah, no, it was something
Yep.
like that.
Well, I know we all made our lists of shows that we personally feel like, died a bit early. Regardless of what we'd like to happen with it. Do we want to go ahead and go into those and
Yeah.
Yeah.
who Nickel, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll get my lists out of the way.
All right, buddy.
It's not very deep. I've already said the oblongs. I've already mentioned that in our other TV episode, which you can catch wherever you get your
Yeah,
wherever you
thank you.
get your podcast.
You know what? Honestly, for 4 of us, we do not pimp this show as much as you think.
Yeah.
We
Right.
don't even ask people to like and subscribe.
But you should absolutely like and subscribe
Yeah,
to this shit.
exactly. With one exception where I remember there was an episode where John at the very end was just like, you motherfuckers better start liking
Swear to
this
God,
show.
you better. I will find you. I will Jay and Silent Bob you.
No, but the oblongs, like that was, I'll say it again, that was a great fucking cast. With Will Ferrell and Pamela Alden
Yes,
as
that's right.
Milo,
Mm-hmm.
right? The voice of Bobby Hill,
Mm-hmm.
like
Excellent.
the legendary voice actress, and the Sklar brothers as the conjoined
Oh.
twins.
I forgot the Sklar brothers were in there. I
Yeah,
freaking love
Jason
those
and
guys.
Randy Sklar. They
Oh
were
my
the
gosh.
conjoined twins, right? Come on. I mean, it had a resurgence on Adult Swim, but it needed more.
Where
Like,
did it
it
debut
could-
at? What was the network?
Oh God, it wasn't on Fox. I want to say
It wasn't
the-
Fox.
no. I want to say WB.
You know what? I
Oh,
think you're
maybe.
right. I remember it being something really
I-
random.
Without looking it up, that's my gut feeling. I want to say the
I
WB.
think you're correct.
When the WB had its own like basic network channel,
That's
right?
right.
Yeah.
It had
but I
money. I
wanna
mean, the
say-
animation was clean. You know what I mean? It was very well
Right?
written.
No.
It just was on the wrong network.
It was, and I said it, and in the TV episode, it was not right for the time. If it was like made a year or two later and put on Adult Swim, would have fucking flourished.
It would have killed. It would have
Right.
killed.
Yeah. That was. I mean,
Just
when-
like you
that
were
was-
saying,
when was it on Adult Swim
So,
versus
It was
when it was on the air? Was it like was it a
God.
bunch of years before?
no. So it was one season, maybe 2 seasons on network TV, like 9 o'clock at night or something like that.
Mhm.
But that was like early Will Ferrell SNL days.
Oh, okay. Back when he wasn't such a huge
Yeah,
name.
he hadn't
and-
done movies yet, right? It was
This
still
is
TV.
like you got to keep in mind, like Elf made Will Ferrell blow the fuck up.
So crazy to think of too.
Okay, so if you, and I want to say, I'm just doing the mental math now. If you had put the oblongs, like pitched it to Adult Swim with the same cast and ran that before or during Elf, you could have had a big blow up, and Will Ferrell could have still maybe been on SNL and done the voice on the oblongs.
So, Nickel, have you
and-
ever actually read the Oblong's book by Angus Oblong?
No.
Okay.
And we had a
Did
conversation
we?
in the
I
TV
probably did because
episode
I probably
too.
ripped on
Yeah.
Angus Oblong because Angus Oblong is a douchebag.
Right.
In the best way possible. He just was one of those cats who's like, he sold
Right.
the show to make the show and then complained about the show. And the show was a hit for guys like us who are like, hey, this is a fresh, fun show. And he's looking at it like, oh, this is me selling out kind of deal. I'm like, well, good. Fuck it. This would never have been made if somebody didn't give you some
no,
money.
it was right,
Yeah,
right,
sell out,
and
man.
that's the exact conversation we had in our
I feel
past
like I
TV
now realize
episode.
it is. But the reason why I want to ask is like his books are funny. They are very well written. They're like Adam's Family style funny, but a little darker. You know what I mean?
Right.
Right. And the show reflects that. It's a very Tim Burton style animation and
Right.
whatnot.
No, and the show itself fits Adult Swim, the Adult Swim demographic very well. But I think the reason it was canceled was because it was on a basic cable network show.
Yeah.
You know,
And Adult Swim doesn't pay for shit, so they just got the rights to the first season. That was it.
I think it ran for two
Two
seasons
total?
or
Yeah,
like a season and a half or something. It's like 18 episodes. Something
Makes sense.
Super. Okay. So anyway, the other one, Netflix Punisher.
Never saw it.
What?
No,
Never saw Netflix Punisher.
the
You
Netflix
never saw the Netflix?
No.
the Netflix Punisher should have had far more seasons. It was so good.
Netflix started to piss me off because Netflix had a really good Daredevil show that I liked.
Right.
It had, what's her name? What was the other one? Not
Jessica
June
Jones?
Carter. Thank you. Jones I liked too. And they kept canceling shit. And after a while, I'm like, this is another one they're going to cancel after like 2 seasons. And I'm never going to, you know what I mean? Like it's never going to
Well,
end.
That's exactly what they did. They did.
And I didn't even know they did that, which is why when you said the
They-
name, I'm like, oh, they did the thing. They did the thing. I thought exactly what I thought they were going to do.
Yeah. No,
I mean, honestly, the only
They-
one that deserved to be canceled out of all of that was Iron Fist because it was god awful. The
Never
rest
saw
were
Iron
great.
Fist. I tried to watch
No.
Iron Fist and it was pretty
Are
bad.
you kidding me? John Barenthal as the Punisher on the Netflix series, hands down best Punisher ever
Really?
on screen. Oh yeah.
No way.
God, yes. Yeah, underscore.
It's-
You gotta watch.
you really do need
you
to
gotta
watch it.
Really?
watch the Netflix.
And this is Marvel
Punisher.
MCU's version of the Punisher, right? So it's not like
Yeah.
really.
Yeah. No, this is like
It's got
Warzone.
one of the best fight scenes of all time.
Huh.
And I will give no spoilers because you will know it when you start watching it.
Interesting.
It's like it made me fall. Like I hated John Bernthal because his character was a whiny shit from
Walking Dead.
Walking Dead,
Mhm.
and I was like,
No, he is.
this made
but
me
he
fall
is-
back in love with him.
He is the best on-screen Punisher ever.
Interesting.
Watch
Never
it.
would have
We'll
thought.
enjoy it.
Okay.
You
Never
will
would have
enjoy the
Two
shit out of it.
seasons.
Because he's also
Yeah.
going to be back in the Daredevil Reborn show as the Punisher.
And that's my thing too. I was kind of like, okay, well, we'll just watch him then. But at the time when the Punisher came out, I'm like, well, when the Punisher came out, it was still in that sweet spot of like, Marvel movies were getting really cheesy. You guys have already taken the 2 shows I liked away. This is going to be a cheesy Punisher. And I just never gave it a shot. Never gave it a shot.
No. This is
Give it a shot because it's great.
Underscore-
And the extra cast, the people on the cast are just amazing.
God,
Interesting.
underscore. If I'm being honest, it's better than
Make this your
Daredevil.
birthday present to me.
Really?
In
I
my
liked the
opinion,
first couple Daredevil seasons. I don't know how long Daredevil went.
in my honest to God opinion, it's better than Daredevil.
Interesting. Daredevil was good. Liked it.
Yeah, Daredevil is good. They're tied for me.
Oh shoot! I gotta remember my third one now. Can't. Oh God!
Did you want one of us to?
Yeah, do you want to tag out while you remember, and then we
can
go?
tag out. We can tag out.
Tag out. Go.
Yeah,
Um,
somebody do one.
I'll do
Do
it. I
one.
don't have my notes are very scattered for this, but so my choice was 2001's live action version of The Tick. So this came out. So in 1996, they had the animation version of it. Now I was fucking hooked. The animation version was hilarious. It was in that sweet spot where it had like Spider-Man and everything around it. Loved it to death. Not surprising, right? It's weird and it's quirky, and I like weird, quirky shit, as you'll find out for the remainder of this list. And I didn't know this, but the live action one was basically produced, and the first episode was made by Barry Sonnenfeld, who was the guy behind the Addams Family movies and Men in Black and whatnot. So again, weird, quirky stuff, right? Live action one comes out, and if you guys want a very quick recap, The Tick is basically what happens when the lamest but kindest person you know becomes indestructible, and then he surrounds himself by the cast of Seinfeld. And he does, and in the pilot,
he really does.
and there's a reason for that, and I'll get to it in a minute. But if you can, the entire season is only like 6 episodes, and it's all available. I'm sorry, 9, and it's all available on
Yeah.
YouTube. And the
The
pilot
live action
episode-
one.
the live
Mhm.
action one,
Okay.
But the
Yeah,
2001
yeah.
one, don't get it mixed up with the
Yeah.
the 2016
There's-
one or whatever it is.
The
No,
there's
the
Yeah.
animated one is
Yeah.
what I'm thinking of.
1996 animated, 2001 is the live action, and then we'll go
Right.
into what happened later because John actually hit it on the head earlier. But in the very beginning, the tick mistakes Arthur's cries, the guy with the moth outfit, as a damsel in distress, and then he starts throwing bad guys around while telling them not to do drugs. And the main bad guy is a robot invented by the Russians to kill Jimmy Carter, and it escapes, and it now is trying to still kill Jimmy Carter. It's fantastic, and this is the pilot, right? It's the very first one. Super clever. They were making fun of like the rooftop monologues that Batman and Spider-Man would do and like
Mhm.
thought bubbles and stuff. And I actually have a clip
Spoon.
I'm gonna play for you, just because you have to hear the way they do this.
Can we do screen share on this?
I don't know.
We can. Oh, there's a screen share. This is such a better platform than the fucking other one. There's a screen share button.
City! City! I am the Tick, and you have melted my heart. From this day forth, I will spread my buttery justice over your every nook and cranny. Hear me, O city, my city. Your toast will never go bare again.
I mean, it's filled with that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
it's my favorite shit.
Right.
And the reason why I wanted to mention the Seinfeld thing is it stars Patrick Warburton, who is best
Yeah.
known as Putty, right, from Seinfeld at the
Right.
time.
Mhm.
The executive producer was Larry Charles, who was one of the lead writers of Seinfeld, and he would eventually direct like all the Borat stuff, like Borat, Bruno, Dictator. But Putty, or Warburton, is perfectly casted. Like even back then, I'm like, this guy was made to be this character. And as a kid, you used to watch the cartoon religiously and played the hell out of the Sega Genesis game. Seeing him in this blue suit with a remote-controlled antenna that would move by itself was the same feeling I got when I first saw Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. It's like this giddy feeling because I'm like, holy shit, they fucking got it right. You know, this is
Yeah.
absolutely perfect. But to go back to what John was saying with how like these studios get really weird, part of the reason why it only lasted 9 episodes was it was self-destructed by Fox. So there was a YouTuber named Media Mementos who had a YouTube about it a few years ago, but essentially Fox never owned the rights to the Tick. I want to say it was like Columbia Pictures or something else did. I can't remember off the top of my head. I should have written it in my notes.
Interesting.
But they didn't have full control, so thus they didn't really feel the need to fully fund it. So anytime they needed money, and the Tick looks amazing, right? It's huge sets, like bright colors and stuff.
But wasn't the Tick animated series on Fox?
Exactly.
Kids?
They still never
Yeah.
owned it. They never owned it. They
Okay.
they basically were producing this other company's show, and anytime they had to take money out of it, they would just take the money away. So the
Oh.
Warburton talks about in past interviews, but each and every single episode had these long like delays during the shooting sequences because there wasn't any money, and they would have to find ways to like redo stuff. You know what I mean? Like just kind of like use what they've got, and it kept getting lesser and lesser in the budget. And eventually they did the thing that John was saying where they threw up against a night where they know it was going to fail. I can't remember the day, but it was up against CSI and Survivor.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah, no one's watching a small niche, basically like nerd show against Survivor, right? You do that because you want the show to die. And it eventually did. I never caught the new live action one from like 2016 or whatever it was. No other reason than I was so happy with what we got in 2001 that this was my guy. Kind of the same with Hellboy. Like Ron Perlman is my Hellboy. I really don't feel like watching any of the other shit. Same thing with Tick 2001. Again, if you haven't seen it, it's a perfect version of that character.
Yeah, I mean, I like David Harbour, and I want to give him a break. It's playing Hellboy was a big break for him, but I'm with you on Perlman.
Yeah, it just once you see it, you're like, this is who it is for me. It's hard to picture somebody else in the role. Did you want to do your third one, Nicole, or do you want me to
do your
keep
third
going?
one?
Yeah. So honorable mention is My Name is Earl.
Oh, such a good show.
Yeah.
It went 4 seasons.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So not really canceled too soon, except
They left it on a cliffhanger. I'm gonna hate that forever.
yeah. And it spent the whole series watching it, being like, all right, he's getting better every episode. He's getting better, right?
Mhm.
And you still can't get to see him finish his list.
Mm-hmm. It has one of my favorite last shots too, in that last episode where he sacrifices himself basically and goes to jail. And he's sitting there, and it should be cliched, but it got me. It tugged on the heartstrings. Where you're hearing, what is that animal song?
House of the Rising Sun.
Thank you. Yeah, the animal
the
song.
Oh,
right?
I don't know why I was thinking
only-
animal from the Muppets. So
No,
I was
no,
like,
no,
I-
no, 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 no. That's
No.
I mean the animals.
that's
Okay.
Dr. Teeth. How dare you?
That's Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem.
Yeah,
I know that.
yes. But hearing that as he's being led away, and you're like, oh shit, like this is like, this is one of those moments where like, how is he gonna get out of this? Right? Like
Right.
this whole thing, and it's built up, and of course they cancel it.
No, that whole show was just done so fucking well.
Well, then again, your life was Earl Nickel. Like you spent the past 10 years ish trying to atone for being like a bad guy.
Does Nickel have a past of like stripping copper out of
Nickel
buildings
has a
and stuff
past
that I
where
don't know about?
there's an alternate timeline where that's all he would do. not for the money, just to say he did it. Just
Just to say he did it.
I mean,
Yeah,
you
the
put
building's
me in a
condemned.
weird spot there on your score. I can't. I can't deny or agree to what you're saying. Yeah. Anyway, that was supposed to be my honorable mention. The one I really wanted to say was Freakazoid.
Oh yeah, that didn't go more
remember
than a
that
couple
one?
shoot seasons, really.
It went like a season
I didn't know
or
that.
two.
That hit the pop culture sphere hard too. That really didn't go that far.
Steven Spielberg presents Freakazoid.
Interesting.
Yep.
Did not know.
Way
I
back
still
when,
quote
way back,
Freakazoid.
way back when Warner Brothers and Steven Spielberg were presenting all sorts of wacky, zany cartoons like Animaniacs and Freakazoid. That one was so good in its own right. Like,
Super teen extraordinary.
yeah, Freakazoid. Freakazoid.
There was one
Freak of me,
episode
freak of you.
where it was God, I'm never gonna remember the name. I can tell you for a fact that it was Ed Asner doing the voice, but his cop buddy, where they go into the sewers, and they're talking about poo gas. There's like, oh, there's all this poo gas down here. And I don't know what it was. There was like a random Scottish guy. He's like, in Scotland we called it crud vapors. And ever since then,
Yeah.
like poo gas and crud vapors have been a regular part of my vocabulary.
Right. No, Freakazoid deserved at least a few more seasons.
Yeah.
And that's definitely going to round out my
I
list.
didn't even know it didn't have that many seasons. If you would have asked
No.
him, like, oh yeah, it probably went like
It was
4
like-
or 5.
It was like
Yeah.
1 or 2.
That's such a good show.
Yeah.
And I need to make sure I put that on Plex. Need to have
Honestly,
the
it's
children
been
watch
so
it.
long since I've even seen one. I'm probably gonna watch one after all this.
Yeah.
For real.
It'll be a good show to watch during my homework.
I'm gonna tell you guys I'm watching Punisher, but it's Freakazoid. I'm sorry.
I wouldn't
One
be
I've
mad
already
about that. I
seen.
wouldn't be mad about that. All right, you want to finish up yours, Mike, or you want me to go into some of mine, or
We'll finish mine up because I
Alright.
feel like yours is gonna be strong. Actually, because I already know what your list is, so it is gonna be strong. So I had a choice with my second one between the Weird Al show and Pushing Daisies, and Weird Al. If you haven't seen it, I think they're all on YouTube too. It's basically Pee-wee's Playhouse, but it's still a kids show, but obviously it's him, so it's a lot of, he talks over like old videos and just really fun stuff. I watched it after the show came out because of it. Somebody like a decade ago posted everything on YouTube, and it had one with
Hold on.
Macho Man. Yeah.
Hold time out.
Yes.
Time out. What is this?
The Weird Al show.
the Weird Al
Yeah.
show?
He had a Pee-wee's Playhouse style show in the 90s.
Yeah.
And if you
Didn't
haven't
he have
seen
like the
it,
Macho Man on as a
I
guest? for one
just
of them?
said it. Just said it out loud.
Did you? Jesus
yes,
Christ,
but Chris cut me off.
You're paying attention.
But the second or one of the last episodes, he was on there, and I'd never heard of it. I was already in college. Somebody posted a shit ton of them, if not all of them, and I watched all of them in one night. And
My
it's,
mouth is literally agape.
It's
here's
such a good show.
here's the only problem is,
I did not know about this.
see, I'm surprised because when the DVDs and stuff came out, I thought people were lapping it up, but I think I'm the only one who owned it because nobody ever really talks about it anymore. As you know, they're talking about these lists always have like My So-Called Life and Freaks and Geeks.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can
yeah,
never
yeah.
see this, and I remember
No.
it being
Yes.
very fun. I don't think it is remembered as fondly because it is weird. It is weird, but it's my kind of weird. I didn't go into it because I actually had a plan for another episode where with like guest stars and stuff, so I was gonna save it. But if you haven't seen it, yeah, download a few. You're not gonna like
What's
love
it
every
called?
single bit, but it's him.
No. What's it called?
The Weird Al Show. It was on
The Weird
regular
Al Show.
primetime TV. It was they were basically trying to make a quirky show. I think it was like CBS or something like that, and they just didn't know what to do with it. Gave it no money.
Maybe I did watch it and I just don't remember it.
I
Which
guarantee
is
maybe
weird
it
you.
because
just
like Weird Al was
escapes.
like at the I don't want to say the height of his career, but like that was it was 97. He was big then.
Yeah, he was still
Right,
huge.
right, yeah.
And
No, and he was like my main
I'm
music
surprised.
source.
I guarantee you, once you start watching, you'll start to remember because they had a bunch of 90s comedians on there that you'll look at and be like, oh, that's emo and that blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? You're like, holy shit, there's all these guys that are from way back in the day that were famous at the time that
Okay,
are obviously
okay.
friends with them. So that means skipping that one, my next choice is obviously 2007's Pushing Daisies, which I didn't know this when we were doing the research, but it's also a very Sonnenfeld project. So makes sense. It starred Lee Pace, who you might know as Ronan the Accuser in the MCU. I don't watch The Hobbit, but he also played something called Thranduil. And I'm
Yeah,
looking
the Elf King.
I was just about to ask you, John, what the fuck that was.
Fucking Elf
So
King.
I knew you would know, and I don't know what that is. But when I looked it up,
The
I'm like,
king, it's
oh,
the King of the Elves. What do you mean?
Well,
you
I
know it?
never
It's
saw
the
The
King of
Hobbit.
the Elves.
I never saw The Hobbit. I have a blind spot for certain geek shit, and that's one.
No, we got to get you. We got to get you into it. We can. I've got the material. I've got the. You can't. You've already blocked out anime. You
Yes.
cannot block Lord of the
Nope.
Rings.
No,
Everyone only gets one.
Nah.
Underscore, don't let anybody tell you have to be a fan of Lord of the Rings.
He
Thank
said you
you.
had to be a fan of it. He
Thank
said
you.
to learn about it.
I didn't even
No,
like the
no,
last
that's
one.
worse.
I
That's
watched
worse.
I'm not a
my
fucking
favorite
fan of-
Lord of the Rings movie was The Two Towers because it was just a 2-hour long battle scene. I was in it,
That's
only
true.
to find out that's what everybody hated. You know, and then
I liked it.
I watched Return of the King and I'm like, this is so fucking long. And then like at the very end, there's like an hour of them just saying goodbye, and I'm like, I'm done. We're done with this
So-
fucking movie. I think
How many endings did that
Right?
fucking movie have?
and I know it became a meme, but legitimately, if you're mean, you don't really. Yeah, you don't not. It's not that I
Yeah.
didn't care, but I wasn't like a super fan. I'm like, we could have said goodbye already. Like me as an audience member, we're done. I'm already waving to the cast.
Right.
um,
I've been holding my pee this
yeah.
long.
I thank you. If some people say
Now-
that, I talk about how The Two Towers is my favorite one. They're like, really? That thing was like blah blah blah. I'm like, yeah, that was cool. It was a cool movie.
I mean, it's un-American to say that the Two Towers are your favorite, Mike. Jesus.
Or is it very American? Anyways, Pace plays Ned, a pie maker who has the ability to bring dead things back to life instantly when he touches it. There's a catch, though. If he keeps the person he touches alive for 60 seconds, somebody nearby dies in their place. And if he touches that person, the first person again for the second time, they die again permanently. So he hooks up with a private eye, and he's trying to solve like murders and stuff. But the real spark is between him and this love interest, his childhood sweetheart named Charlotte, who, if you've seen the box art at least, is somehow not played by Zoe Deschanel, who I thought for years was Zoe Deschanel. And then for this episode, I went back and I had some chick named Anna Friel, who I think I've seen before, but it blew my god. It's like the Mandela effect, where I'm like, oh, I've been wrong for like however long this, like over 14 years, however long it is now. So anyways, Charlotte gets murdered, brought back to life, and because of Ned's history and love for her, he has to come up with these elaborate ways to never physically interact with her while still trying to solve her murder and a bunch of other stuff. At the time, it was called a fairy tale, and it mixed all the stuff I love, obviously. The weird shit, the gothic stuff, the horror stuff. It's funny. It goes meta all the time. There's a scene that still lives rent-free in my brain where Ned and the private eye are having a dialogue with each other. And then there's a laugh line that never gets said, just a blank, like, space. And then Ned laughs and stops and he says, oh, this is where you would normally say something funny. And it's one of those moments where I'm like, okay, they're actually like making fun of their own script, basically.
Yeah.
It came right around the time when I needed something like that because I was watching Arrested Development and I was watching a lot of WWE pay-per-views and nothing that was really like that, right? I also had a college relationship right when that show came out. So it was nice to have this very bright, like, Technicolor. It looked like you were looking at a bubblegum machine. Everything was just super bright and saturated. The dialogue was written in this very quirky, almost poetic manner. it was so critically acclaimed, it ended up winning like 18 Emmys. Like, it was, you would think this would be a show on everybody's list.
Mhm.
And then the Writers Guild strike happened. So after the first season, all production shut down. And then when it came back, the audience didn't join in. Like, it was like half the audience. So Sonnenfeld felt that the tone of the show was also maybe a little too weird and quirky, and kind of used that as a gauge. It's like, okay, well, maybe this is not going to work long term, which might actually be true, quite frankly, because it is odd. And then basically very soon after that, the whole show was just cut out. I think there's a sweet spot for the show now, although it probably would get lost because like Netflix was doing stuff like Santa Clarita Diet and stuff like that, where this style of show, I don't know if it would stick out the same way when it first came out. I do, much like some of these other shows that are gone too soon, there's a lot of really wonderful, bittersweet stuff to it. Obviously, Ned he doesn't just like come up with his powers out of nowhere. He has it since childhood. And the arc about how he learns it is some of the most fantastic writing I've ever seen on a show. Like, it's excellent without being cheesy.
Really
It's fantastic. Probably ended when it should have ended, quite frankly. But if they didn't believe they had enough for it to go, it would have been one of those shows where we'll be talking about like, hey, this thing jumped the shark seasons ago, right? It's now gimmicky.
Mm-hmm.
But with that said, it should have gotten a better audience than it had. Yeah, so Pushing Daisy is definitely on my list. I did have a third one,
Nice.
but
That was underscore. That was another one that like every time I looked up, it's on every internet list.
I almost didn't add it because of that, but it's a better show
Yeah.
than Weird Al. Weird Al is a fun show, but it's fluff if you're watching it as a 30-something-year-old. You know what I mean? It's fun, but it's not substantial.
No, but I mean, it's got to lend something to the quality of all of these shows.
Yeah, it does.
Right? If that's you look up shows gone too
It's going to be
soon.
on there.
Right. You got Firefly. You got Freaks and Geeks. You got Pushing Daisies. That came up a lot. My So-Called Life came up a lot.
I still haven't seen a lot of the shows in that list. I tried watching Freaks and Geeks and I was like, eh.
It's of its time.
But to
Well,
be fair,
with-
I started watching it at like 35 and
It would probably hit harder if you were actually like, 19. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
But I mean, that's what I'm saying though. Is like that was the thing I noticed while I was trying to look up the shows that I wanted to talk about, to remind myself of like the shows that I thought meant something to me, where they were gone too soon. But all of those were on the.
There was one I wanted to mention to you specifically, Nickel, because I know that you and your wife, who I'm hoping to get on the show sometime because of her horror movie knowledge. I didn't know if you'd seen it or not, but did you ever watch HBO's Carnival? Carnival?
Oh,
Yeah.
Carnival, yeah.
Yeah.
Carnival.
Not like the
No,
Brazilian
no.
one where they're shaking the ass.
Carnival. No,
It's-
I don't think
I'd never see it
did.
on any of these lists, probably because it's. I don't know if it's good, but it's interesting. So it was described in a review as Twin Peaks mixed with Avatar: The Last Airbender, and it's that might be the best description
What?
I've ever heard. And John
That is
That-
a
John brought up
description,
Deadwood,
yes.
and I had this in the back of my brain. I was telling him earlier today.
Sounds like my
Well,
wife
that's what I
would
was thinking.
love
I had
that.
this in my brain.
She's a huge David
And
Lynch
John was like,
fan.
"Hey, Deadwood," and I'm like, "You know what? I used to watch Carnival," and then I just kind of like I wrote like 3 lines on a piece of paper of like, "Yeah, I like this one, right?" So, but I question mark. It's the setting is amazing. It's Depression era Dust Bowl, but you could tell when you're watching the show that there's a bunch of lore in there that they stuck in there and explained nothing. But specifically what it means to be the avatars in this show. But with that said, they go into like flashbacks of war. There's a main villain who was the voice of not Squidward. He ends up doing a ton of voice acting. He did a lot of stuff for SpongeBob. But long story short, it's got a lot of the more random pieces from Twin Peaks in there, and it's got a nice like vibe. It's got a nice horror element. The reason why the show went away is kind of the same reason Deadwood did, where you don't think it's going to be a show that's going to cost a lot of money to make. And then when you kind of view it from a lens of like, oh, there's like 1 million people in this cast and they keep, going to these towns and stuff. And it's just, you're like, okay, maybe this was a lot more than that. Like Deadwood, they built a city. Like, you know what I mean? So there's an element of like, in order to make that city alive, you're going to need a lot of work in there. Kind of the same thing. I don't even know if I can spoil it because it's such a not goofy. It's such a weird show. And for a guy who loves weird shows, I don't know if I enjoyed it. But I did want to mention it because it's well made. It's odd. And it might be the oddest thing HBO ever made. Oh, put that on your list if you're ever bored. It's only 2 seasons. You're not gonna, it'll be over before you know it.
Noted. Yeah, noted.
Those are all really good ones. All right, I'll knock out my list right now. So I want to start with one that definitely is another one of those shows that's on a lot of the lists, but it's always near the top. It's always in like the 20, 30, 40 range. It's not a top 10 one, at least from what I saw. But it's a show called Terriers, and it's got Donald Logue, and then I can't think of that dude's name, his partner's name, but like, so 93% rating on Rotten Tomatoes,
Oh, wow.
like an average ranking of just shy of 7 out of 10 for every episode. Literally, Time Magazine top 10 shows of 2010, a 10 out of 10 on IGN and Best New Series award.
Holy shit!
Like,
How'd I miss
all
this?
of it killed. It was amazing, and then one season and it was done.
Wow.
So the whole thing of it is that Donald Logue plays an ex-cop, and his friend, they start an unlicensed PI agency in Ocean Beach, California, which I think they try and make it seem like actual Ocean Beach, California, but not quite Ocean Beach, California. Like it's the real place. It's one of those ones where it's like great, like season-long mystery to it. Each episode has a great individual theme, but there's still that season-long, everything is being tied together, which is really nice. Like, I like it for a drama like this. I like it for a mystery. Super quick-witted dialogue from writers who definitely deserve more attention with the awards that they got. It's got that real nice noirish feeling to it. Like, I absolutely love that show. I watched it while it was on the air. I watched it again, I want to say probably during the pandemic, and I feel like I should watch it again.
Yeah.
But it's another one of those ones where it's like weirdly low viewership. And I think Donald Logue was still coming off of like quite a decent amount of success from Grounded for Life, which was that sitcom he was on. Like he obviously, he's not like, I'd say he's probably way more famous for his role in Gotham now than he was for any of that stuff. But like, he was still successful.
Yeah, Donald Logue is a great, like, he's a very underrated comedic actor.
Oh,
He's
I agree.
Great underrated actor, period, I would say.
No, I agree. Like, everything that he's in, he does a great job. He played King, what's his name, in Vikings, like one of the Vikings. He killed his dad. Like,
Right.
He's got fucking range. The guy has range.
Yeah.
It is great. People, I think the general consensus was people didn't know what the hell it was based off of the title. And then,
I'll be honest with you, I've seen this name on lists and I did not know what this was about at all.
well, even the fact that like the poster for them is literally like a huge terrier up front with their business card, and then Donald Logue and the other dude are like sat back in the back of a pickup, like you can barely see them.
I'm trying to look it up now.
It's weird, but also FX as usual, or I mean, just like studios as usual, they fuck the marketing on it, and
Right. So it's
it would have been better with a harder rating to it. Like, again, it probably would have been better as like an HBO type show.
It's a misstep on the marketing.
Yeah.
Kind of deal.
And honestly, it probably would have done better today on a streaming service than as like a weekly, TV release.
Yeah.
Like, I think they would have done a lot better with it.
Just the description I'm seeing alone, this feels like it should be on a streaming, like Amazon or something would have it.
Yeah, Amazon would probably be great for it with all the stuff. Like, they post they have some crazy stuff with The Boys and like, they're not afraid to go into the wild shit. And this would be it. Nice if it was a little darker. The next one that I have, we're gonna switch over to musicals. So Gallivant.
God damn it, man! grab any show you hear, just be like, I'm just gonna fuck with nickel and underscore. So now we have to Google.
You two are fucking theater nerds.
Yeah, and I don't know what Gallivant is.
You don't know Gallivant, the
I
best
played
musical?
the same character for 2 years. I played Dude Who Smiles for 2 fucking years in drama.
Yeah.
Okay? I used to be handsome.
Dude, Gallivant is so good. It's like I mean, I understand why it wasn't successful, but I don't understand why it wasn't successful because the writer, composer, and lyricist for it were the guys that did Disney's Tangled, which is arguably one of the best Disney movies of the last, 40 years, in my opinion. I think Tangled is one of the best. Tangled is amazing. Tangled is amazing.
No.
It's got an 89% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I don't give a shit about Rotten Tomatoes.
It's great. It is great. You guys, if you guys watch it, I guarantee you will love it.
So tell me about this thing.
Yeah,
I had
tell
know
us
nothing
theater
about.
nerds about your goofy sellout musical show.
Goofy
Yeah,
sellout
right.
musical. No. It is about a hero named Gallivant. It's a musical comedy.
Boring.
It is a musical comedy. You guys, I promise you guys will. If you guys do not love it,
Give
I
them
will
a
take
chance.
you guys out to lunch. I will take you guys out. No, I don't want to
Underscore.
undersell it. I don't
Underscore.
want to half-ass it. You guys need to try it. You guys need to watch it. If you do not like it halfway through the first season, I will take you guys out to lunch.
Underscore. Give him a chance. Because I know nothing about this show.
I already hate it.
I already hate it. But so as usual, it's the marketing that fucked it. You guys know that show? I think I mentioned it earlier, but Once Upon a Time, it was that show about
Yeah.
So they went on a mid-season break. I forget why, or a mid-series break. And they stuck this show in that slot. And it's like, why would you, after 4 years of a show that people loved,
why would you give them this? Right.
yeah. Oh, here's this other show now. So love it. Just no. It was a Sunday night show, which is a big TV night, and they just threw it in there. It was basically a death sentence.
Let me ask you then, because these musical comedies, musicals in general, they're really expensive to make. Obviously, it's got a Princess Bride kind of vibe to it.
Yeah.
Why would you
It's Princess Bride the musical, basically. I don't understand that. That's actually it's just a great analogy that I hadn't thought of. Princess Bride the musical is a perfect way to phrase this.
But wouldn't you, if you spent all that money on this kind of thing, it would have the big pageantry of we're gonna have this special show. You know what I'm saying?
The sets are really well made and I don't understand why they would make it. Maybe they legitimately thought hey, it's Once Upon a Time, it's fantasy, it's medieval-ish. We're going on a break. We'll put this other fantasy medieval show there to fill that void to them, and they'll love it. No, America does not like change.
It won me over though. I'm just looking at the titles real quick. And I don't know if this is a real title, but it says season 2, episode 1.
Underscore. Let John talk.
But check this out. It says a new season, aka Suck It, Cancellation Bear.
Yes.
And I went, this is amazing. I'm only trying to sell it to myself because it does sound incredible.
Some publication said they were going to get canceled, and when they got renewed for the second season, they named their first episode "Suck It, Cancellation Bear."
Amazing. I had to say it out loud because I'm like, is that real? Because that's fucking fantastic.
Yeah, I would love for you guys to watch it. This is one of my regular rewatches. It also has
I'll watch it.
Timothy Elmanson, who played Lassiter in Psych. I love everything Psych. I love everything that man did. I am very happy he has recovered so well from his medical issues and is back in acting and stuff. Yes, I love that man and everything he's ever been in. I don't necessarily want it to come back. So once they almost got canceled the first season, when they were looking at it, when they were like, oh, will we come back? The writers were smart enough to wrap it all up in the second season and actually finish the story. So we're not left on a cliffhanger. We're not wanting more, but it could have gone a lot longer.
Interesting.
But I think they were smart enough to take it and wrap it up nicely at the end.
Cool.
Okay.
I had Ricky Gervais and Callie Minogue. That's interesting.
No shit.
Yeah, it's an interesting cast.
A lot of random guest stars.
Yeah, Anthony Head from Buffy. That's neat.
Oh.
Cool.
And
Edward Allen's a monk. Oh, I'm in.
Vinnie
Rucker
Jones,
Howard's,
man. Vinnie Jones is in it.
Vinnie Jones, Rucker Howard's in this.
Yeah, don't tell you. It's got a bunch of good people.
Vinny Jones I miss. Vinny Jones need a career resurgence too someday. He's never. Is he dead?
No,
I just
Vinny
realized that.
Jones was just in the show on Netflix, The Gentleman.
Really? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I liked him. I liked him.
Yeah,
I
no,
always
that
liked
was
when he
good.
was around.
It was a show based off of that movie, The Gentleman, the one with Charlie Hunnam and
Oh, right.
about the British mobsters growing weed and all that stuff. Yeah. My last show is
Yeah.
Constantine. Canceled as usual because it didn't make the network viewership requirements, which, okay, fine. Pick a fucking niche to non-comic fans character, make a show about them, and then what do you expect to happen?
Was it a show made after the movie?
No, completely separate. It was made after the comics. The movie was made after the comics, but was not made after the comics. They hired an actor who actually looked like John Constantine from the comics. They brought in familiar co-characters and themes, but they didn't really touch on any of the material from the comics. Maybe they thought that would be getting too deep. I feel like they just didn't market it correctly, but they also didn't make it correctly, in my opinion. They did it the way I want to say like early seasons of Buffy and some other shows were, where it was literally just monster of the week, and there wasn't that overarching story to tie it together, that feeling that there were higher stakes. And
Right.
that's what, like, Constantine, like, I'm a huge comic fan and a huge Hellblazer fan. It's all about these longer stories about these people coming back into his life to try and screw him over, these demons that he's dealt with before. Like, there's a lot of history that should have come in. There's a lot of additional characters that should have come in, or could have come in, I should say, if they went longer. But also, they fucking put it on at 10 o'clock at night.
Oh, right.
So who the hell is going to watch that?
Especially a comic book show. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, it needed better pacing and it needed a better, longer story. Now, you might be asking yourself, why would you want a show that, you say had mediocre pacing and mediocre at best writing back on the air? Thank you for asking, Nickel. I appreciate that.
Smart
Because
question,
it would
Nicole.
be, yeah.
That's exactly what I did
Smart
ask.
question.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it would be fucking great as a Max show where all of the other DC content is, and all of the Constantine and DC animated movies have killed and been awesome.
Yeah. I'll admit
And
that.
with James Gunn coming into DC Comics now, because they took this actor, Matt Ryan, and they brought him into all the little fucking huggy teeny bopper, the Flash and Arrow shit, because he was short, but then they neutered him even more because it was the CW at 8 p.m.
Right.
I don't even think they allowed him to smoke, which is like a huge Constantine thing that they fought for in the series. But like, it would be so good. It would be if they brought it back and they let James Gunn have a go at it. But like, put it on Max, let it be rated R, lean heavily into the horror aspect, because that's what it is. It is a horror comic at its core. Keep the cast. The cast was amazing. There's nothing wrong with the cast. And just write a show with a more well thought out, like Big Bad and I mean, even realistically, the individual episodes weren't terrible, but like there was no feeling of like what was it leading towards.
The idea that was there, the passion just wasn't there.
Yeah, the passion wasn't there, man. It was just
I know what you're talking about, because like with the Buffy analogy, like for me, Buffy was that whole like they're using a bunch of metaphors with their monsters and stuff, and there was an overarching story, but they didn't really hit that swerve until like season 2, 3. You know what I mean? Like it really took a minute, and of course Constantine didn't get that chance. I don't even get the chance to be like, okay, we're trying to draw you in with the monster of the week, and now we can build on something. Whereas I think you're right. If you think you threw it on an HBO, you don't have to do monster of the week at all. Like you have, you know what I mean? You could just literally pick a story and just do the entire story.
yeah, you really could.
Yeah.
Or hear me out. Or you can just develop the Punisher franchise.
Punisher versus Constantine.
Can
Do
we
it
make
now.
these all into one? Just snorting cocaine. So I picture a musical with Constantine and the Punisher.
I'm serious. Just give John Bernthal his Punisher franchise that he deserves. He was great on The Walking Dead as a bad guy, right? but he was so good.
Did you just no-sell his entire Constantine thing just to talk about the Punisher again?
Yeah, no, I just waited my turn.
I
No,
can't
I
hate him
got
for
you,
what he
but
loves, man.
You had an entire segment for yourself to talk about the Punisher.
No, I'm just saying. Like, I'm totally discounting everything John just said.
But you had such a great question like 2 minutes ago.
Yeah,
Like,
I
you
mean,
were,
if you
like,
hadn't
yeah.
asked that question, Nickel, I don't know if I would have been able to make the point that I made.
That's right. That should have been in nickel viscosity. Whatever the next one is.
What's the next? Is that what the next one is? The
No, I have no
Nickel
idea.
viscosity?
We just need more
Punisher.
John Bernthal Netflix Punishers.
If there was a winner to this episode, I think you won, Nickel. There. Yeah.
No, there's. Yeah, I don't want to be the winner.
We've all lost.
Yes. Well, honestly, so did all these shows.
Fair. Oh man.
So with Constantine, like, I know you're talking about how you weren't a big fan of Keanu's version of it, but do you know if they're bringing?
Oh no, I didn't say that. I fucking
okay.
loved it.
I thought that you just preferred this for.
This was more true to the comics and the character, but Keanu's was just fun.
The only reason why I
Like-
mentioned it is I actually I was one of the few that actually had a good time with his movie. It was a little I mean, it wasn't like, as somebody who never read the comics, I'm like, it got me interested in the character 100%.
Mhm.
Then I think they're bringing him back, right? Or are they not doing that? Because
Yeah, no, there's been talk of a sequel. Yeah.
that's cool.
No, I liked it. I had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, me too. Did you ever watch the? I didn't see it, but I know for this version of Constantine, they had a whole animated series of it.
Yeah, there's been the series and then a bunch of movies.
They do a bunch of movies too. Yeah, I
They
never
did a
saw
bunch
them.
of DC movies that were animated movies were really good also. Like DC, it's funny to me because DC is to animated stuff what Marvel is to live action superhero movies.
Yeah, definitely.
It's just like Marvel has tried and failed miserably at making animated movies, and DC just knocks it out of the park. I'm really hoping James Gunn helps them. I mean, he already did with what's it called? The one with John Cena that was
Oh, Peacemaker.
Peacemaker. Like
Yeah, I
Excellent.
didn't see that.
Peacemaker's
See
fun.
that.
Peacemaker is so good.
Yeah, Peacemaker's cool.
And
John Cena's excellent in it. Out of fucking
And John
nowhere.
Cena is amazing. It is the part I feel like he was born to play.
Yeah, definitely.
Like it's amazing. And we should learn the dance.
How did you guys see that? I couldn't see it.
Oh, get out of here.
Edit that out.
No, it stays
Terrible
in.
joke.
This is a live stream.
It's a live stream, man. This is on fucking the official episode.
This is why I have the John button ready in case he says something I don't like.
I like, but I feel like the John. Oh wait, no, I know what the John button's for. I just remembered what the John button was for specifically.
Yeah, exactly. We're not gonna do it.
John, you've been really good about
Yeah,
that
thank
lately.
you, John.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna say what
No,
it was.
yeah,
but,
I know you won't. I don't want
oh
to.
my God.
I don't want to
All right,
sound
I
like
gotta
Afrocentric, but looking at your list of shows, awful lot of white people.
I mean, it is
Oh, man.
February. It is Black History Month.
Yeah, these are musicals too. I will admit that.
On that note, thank you for joining us for the I don't even know what it's called. The TV graveyard shows
I
that
don't
died
know.
too
We'll
early.
come up with the
We
title
gotta figure out
after.
a fucking
Yeah,
name for this title
just let me know.
afterwards.
Just let me know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, but yeah, I gotta go fight these kids to bed.
My son is leaving me. He's
Yeah,
disgusted.
and,
He's
he
disgusted by
took a nice
everything.
nap on the floor behind you, and then
Yeah.
he's just like, "I'm out."
I timed that just barely well.
Yeah.
Like he's done.
All right, well, we can add a proper closer in later or something. I don't know.
No, take us home, man.
I mean, I guess this is our first live streamed episode since we first tried it like last year, but thanks for checking it out. Please give us a follow either on, if you're watching us on one of the streaming platforms, Kick or Twitch, or on your podcast platform of choice. This is John of the Time Pals. Have a great night.